Story 1. Every good bra I buy seems to be discontinued by the time I need to replace it. It takes 3 to 4 unsatisfactory bras before I find the perfect one again. Story 2. The illusion of safety feels like a constant underpinning across society, filled with fear and anxiety that nobody can seem to shake anymore. Story 3. I can sum up what everyone said with a cliché millennial response. We all miss the 90s. Story 4. Concerts used to offer bands for a $5 admission, but now the prices are absurd. I am not paying $50 to see Sleater-Kinney. I saw them in the 1990s and they were not good back then. Now they are older. Additionally, they mistreated Janet, their drummer, and caused her financial harm. Story 5. Really delicious pastries in cafes and restaurant food in general. I don't know whether they have changed or I have. Story 6. Video stores. Spending half an hour deciding what to rent. The smell of popcorn. Those were the days. Story 7. A trio from Amsterdam called themselves Gas 10 Zondergrenzen from 2004 to 2012. They organized incredible raves in old garages, warehouses, fields, and even on a naval vessel. I had the time of my life with them. Story 8. I miss not knowing things. I sometimes dislike that I can know everything immediately. Even when you say, "Don't tell me, let me think," someone pulls out their phone and blurts out the answer. I also miss how movies used to stay in theaters for months. Story 9. Arcades are often filled with black lights and rock music, where machines operate using quarters. It's common for them to also include a roller rink. Story 10. My dad died when I was 17 in 2003. There is so much I have gone through and done that I would give anything to have shared with him. Story 11. Space shuttles, English Channel hovercraft, and Concorde. We never got our flying cars, but we had remarkable technology that could take us places in ways we can no longer achieve. Story 12. Back in the 1990s, when appearances did not matter as much as they do today, individuals could possess personalities that were somewhat unconventional and still be welcomed in social circles without facing cancellation or ostracism. It's a feeling that is difficult to describe accurately. Am I alone in this? Story 13. My reading speed peaked at 14. If I really like a book, I can finish it in a day or two and quickly move on to the next, absorbing everything like a sponge. I feel sad that I don't read as much as I used to. Story 14. 4 even seasons, 3 months each. Now it seems like we have 4 months of cold winter and 4 months of hot summer, with brief 2-month seasons of spring and autumn, if we're lucky. It's mid-April in the Midwest, and we're still running the furnace at night. Back in February, it got so warm outside that we had to turn the air conditioning on for a bit. Story 15. Shower soothers. They were little pucks you would drop on the floor of your shower that would release menthol and other ingredients to clear your congestion and provide a pleasant scent. I loved those products. Story 16. I'm old enough to have experience going to a movie theater without being disturbed by people talking on their phones. It was easy. There were no mobile phones back then. Story 17. I was discussing how I miss payphones. If your cell phone breaks and you live alone without a landline, you are at a disadvantage. We should bring back payphones. Story 18. Clove cigarettes at the gas station. I don't smoke anymore, but I would keep a pack in the freezer for tough nights if I could still get some. Story 19. Movie rental stores like Blockbuster and libraries are becoming increasingly rare, although they are not completely gone yet. Story 20. I lost my mom and grandparents at a young age, and it has been incredibly difficult to deal with. Story 21. Affordable concerts. I paid $10 for general seating in 1987 to see Sting at the Minnesota State Fair, sitting in the second row center. I spent $30 to see Whitney Houston in concert. Story 22. Random items like t-shirts or hats in cases of beer are now just an opportunity to enter this code for a chance to win. Story 23. Good takeaway food. They used to all be mom-and-pop type establishments. Now they are all chain restaurants. Food quality has gone down and prices have gone up. Story 24. I don't miss children being sent to wash their hands before lunch at school. During COVID, Hand sanitizer was used to prevent overcrowding at classroom sinks and washrooms. Now, schools allow them to eat right away, which can be quite unpleasant given the crafts they do. Story 25. King Vitamin Cereal and Hershey Gold Kisses. Maybe King Vitamin is a Midwest thing, but I ate it constantly as a child and would have a couple of boxes in my pantry as a 35-year-old adult now if they still sold it. Whoever they are, they always do away with the good products. Story 26. Fun designs are present in everything, including buildings and websites. They often appear minimalistic and plain. Story 27. Good fried rice. These days, if you order fried rice, it's often just rice and oil. It used to have vegetables and eggs, not just small bits of eggs. I mean generous portions of eggs, bean sprouts, onions, green onions, peas, carrots, soy sauce, and various spices. Now, even when they add vegetables, they aren't the same, and it rarely has been sprouts. Fried rice was what made me enjoy eating vegetables. It truly improved my perspective on food. Story 28. They don't make small pickup trucks anymore. You are forced to get something that is 20 years old at this point. Story 29. My hometown was known for a unique type of restaurant. There were at least 8 of them while I was growing up. These places were huge, open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, usually owned and operated by Greek families, and decorated in a distinctive style. They were too big and elaborate for me to call diners. Most had family restaurant in the name, along with combinations of words like Acropolis, Athens, Olympus, or Olive Branch. All of them had neon lights, murals of Greece, plaster columns, numerous hanging plants, fountains, and sometimes even real fireplaces. The menus were extensive, offering breakfast, lunch, and dinner at any hour. It was amazing to go out with my friends at 3 in the morning and have so many local sit-down restaurants to choose from. Most of them began cutting their hours around 2014. By the time the pandemic hit, none of them were open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week anymore. Many switched to takeout only. These restaurants were a cultural hallmark of my hometown. It's just not the same without them. Story 30. I really miss those old Discovery Channel documentaries from the early 2000s. They were narrated by a deep-voiced presenter with a dramatic flair. Before everything shifted to reality television or shark attack countdowns, there was something magical about learning how pyramids were built or watching deep-sea explorers uncover shipwrecks, all accompanied by a captivating orchestral soundtrack. Felt like learning was truly enjoyable. Story 31. Being excited just because it's Saturday. No responsibilities, no notifications, just cartoons, cereal, and time that feels infinite. Story 32. Video rental stores. I loved going in and browsing all the videos and games on the shelves before selecting a few to take home. Story 33. Decent, popular music. Actual, talented young musicians and bands that are not imitating others or past trends. Story 34. Phone manners. When someone talks to you on the phone, it can be distracting to hear them eating at the same time. Additionally, coughing or sneezing into the phone without turning away or covering the microphone is considered impolite. Story 35. People demonstrate genuine compassion and common decency towards others without having political correctness imposed upon them. Story 36. I had 2 brothers and we were taught to share. Now, all these years later, we still share, but it's much less frequent than it used to be. In the past, when we shared, we would always agree and set rules, which was nice. Nowadays, when we do share, we often forget what we shared and neglect to return it. Story 37. Pepsi 1893. I disliked it at first, but then it became the soda I wanted to drink, and then they discontinued it. Story 38. Good games from Bethesda Game Studios include Morrowind, Oblivion, Fallout 3, and Skyrim. I weep for my lost childhood hobby. Story 39. The television channel G4 is one I subscribed to Philo just to watch when it briefly returned. Now I watch the content on Twitch. Most of it is quite dated, but it reminds me of a time when cable television was not dominated by low-quality reality shows. Story 40. Thinking my Commodore 64 was the peak of gaming, I spent endless summer days playing games, riding my grifter to friends' houses, and leaving home first thing in the morning. I would return filthy after building dams in the brook, feeling happy and carefree as the sun went down. I miss my childhood. Story 41. Pillsbury holiday sugar cookie dough logs are the ones that you slice, featuring images of a ghost or a bunny. Now they come in a box pre-sliced, which means you get less and it's much less fun. Story 42. Sweet ice cream and caramel sauce can sometimes be disappointing, especially when it's salted. I prefer sweet caramel and dark chocolate treats, while the milk chocolate version does not appeal to me. I loved Cadbury's Spiral chocolate sticks and Cadbury's Pinky, although importing them can be quite expensive. Raspberry Bliss whip bars are often out of stock. I remember the blue and red artificial colors used in Smarties and fizzy drinks when I was a kid, as well as green Cola Panda Pop. Story 43. My favorite sketch comedy group is the Whitest Kids You Know. During the COVID-19 pandemic, they made a comeback, and it was a great time before they started self-censoring sketches. I wouldn't mind, but the show was never released in its entirety on DVD or Blu-ray. Now it feels like some older performers are trying to adapt their dated content for a modern audience. I really miss the group as it was. Unfortunately, the creator Trevor Moore passed away a couple of years ago, so I know they will never be the same again. Rest in peace, Trevor Moore. Story 44. Trader Joe's brand sparkling water had a coconut flavor that existed for only about a year. They discontinued it, which reduced my overall joy. Story 45. Midnight premieres for movies used to feel like such an event compared to the 8 p.m. showings I see today. Story 46. Being out with your friends at the mall and hanging out while everyone wasn't glued to their phones was a different experience, especially since cell phones weren't prevalent, and if you needed to call someone, there were still payphones everywhere. Who else rarely sees those around these days? Story 47. I used to get rice and couscous packages at the grocery store. They had different varieties, with jollof being my favorite, like Uncle Ben's and Northside's, and they came in metallic foil pouches. They were smaller than the Uncle Ben's and Nor varieties, so the portion was more appropriate. I used to buy them frequently, but one day they just weren't available anymore. I have tried searching online, but they seem to have vanished. I don't remember the brand name. Story 48. Childhood on my grandparents' farm is gone forever. The memories of my grandparents, the farm, the fish pond, and the harvesting activities are all gone. Story 49. Bonnie Bell branded lip smackers. I also miss my younger feet. Women's feet grow longer throughout their lives and wider after having children. Story 50. Very fine juice vending machines. Butterfields. Long John Silver's had a giant Chipotle-sized wrap. Search. Mountain Dew Pitch Black. Sprite lemonade in the bottles. Snapple Elements Fire original recipe, not the remake. Original Postum, again not the remake. Story 51. I miss when people weren't so attached to their phones. I go to the sauna at my gym, and people are often focused on their devices. One time I was in the hot tub, and a guy was completely focused on his phone. What if it falls in the water? Story 52. There was a brand of microwave cheesesteaks that I had back in 1997. I do not remember the brand or what the box looked like. I just remember they were small, tasty, and had a bit of marinara sauce in them. I'd eat them while playing the Nintendo 64. It's been nearly 30 years, and I still want those cheesesteaks. Please, I'm begging all of you. If you remember them, tell me. I must experience them again. I must return to my teenage years by eating them while playing Mystical Ninja. They were maybe 4 or 5 inches long, had marinara sauce in them, and the cheese was like a powdery cheese that was mixed in with the marinara. They were super sloppy but super tasty. Story 53. Classic arcades filled with video games instead of money or token sinks, as well as video rental stores. Story 54. Shopping was such an important part of my life. My adult daughters now find it boring. I miss it. Story 55. The quest of going to a Blockbuster, the mall, or getting fast food. I don't know. There are so many things that I miss. Story 56. I miss when people would arrive 5 to 10 minutes early for a meeting. In the days of wristwatches and analog wall clocks, which were often a few minutes off, attendees would have some idle chit-chat before everyone arrived. Now, with mobile phones keeping synchronized time, people often join meetings, whether in person or online, within seconds. It's reduced to just a few seconds of pleasantries before diving straight into business. Story 57. Extended families living in the same community do exist, but are becoming increasingly rare. These days, families tend to be scattered and visits are infrequent. In the past, dropping in to visit friends or family without notice was common. We were essentially one happy community. However, visits today are more formal, people live more privately, and few would consider dropping by unannounced for a casual cup of tea. Families would readily set an extra place at the table for unexpected visitors, offering whatever was already on the menu without the need for formal entertaining or showcasing their homes. I truly miss those times. Story 58. The body I had in my early 20s that I considered overweight. Rice Krispie Treats cereal. New episodes of Supermarket Sweep. Nana Hinman. Story 59. The local video rental store. Flea markets and swap meets where items are affordable. 3 of my grandparents. Story 60. Toys R Us, Warhammer Fantasy, 2D Disney animation, toys and cereal boxes, owning media rather than needing monthly subscriptions, objects with buttons instead of only touchscreens, not seeing cameras everywhere in public spaces, spontaneous public gatherings for various reasons, wild turkeys, video game stores, MTV as it was originally so much. Story 61. A local Chinese buffet was once a restaurant. It closed and was sold to another person who planned to remodel it. But then COVID-19 came along. How simple life used to be. Life before social media, the forums were much better. Life before everything had to have an app. Story 62. Pepsi Blue. Dad's blue cream soda. Butterfinger crisps. Soft pretzels. Dollar Tree. Still exists but is an expensive shell of what it used to be. Blockbuster. Video game cheat systems. Story 63. Surge Soda brings back nostalgia, and it was quite good too. The can embodies 90s pop culture, and I miss it greatly. Story 64. My list is extensive, so feel free to skip it or prepare yourself. Pizzeria's pizza chips. Ecto Coolers. The original recipe Doritos 3D. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles pies. Crystal Pepsi. Kudos Bar. PB Crisps. The original version of Dunkaroos. Fruit String Thing. Munch EMS. Butterfinger BBs. Fruitopia vending machines. Vault Soda. Surge Soda. Choco Taco. WWE ice cream bars. Mythic Quest. The Arrowverse. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Reginald the Vampire. Electronic Gaming Monthly Magazine. GamePro Magazine. The Federal Bureau of Investigation warning before movies. McDonald's glass movie cups. 7-Eleven movie cups. Story 65. Video stores were always a fun way to spend a night watching movies with friends. Streaming video is simply not the same. Story 66. Optical media still exists, but it is uncommon for people to use. We used to have CD and DVD drives. Blank discs were affordable, costing around 30 to 50 cents each, allowing us to share movies, music, games, and files with friends. Now, the closest alternatives are USB drives, which are more expensive, along with messaging apps and cloud services that are typically limited in file sizes and types of content that can be shared. Story 67. I miss pre-COVID Disney World. It was magical and a place for kids. Now it's just a cash grab for Disney adults with money to burn. Story 68. I miss when we didn't have all this technology, including iPads and cell phones. Life was better. People interacted and spent time together without the distraction of cell phones. It was great. Story 69. Pepperoni Lean Pockets. I might be the only person, but I was devastated when they were discontinued during COVID. Hot Pockets just don't taste the same. Story 70. Inside Out Kit Kat bars. The last one I remember having was in 2004. White chocolate Kit Kat bars are not the same. Inside Out was in another dimension. Story 71. DVDs with director and cast commentary. I enjoy watching some movies multiple times with the commentary. Listening to the commentary while following the movie subtitles gives my brain a multitasking workout for comprehension. Story 72. The middle class used to have money left after bills were paid. It is now extremely expensive to live in this country. A living wage is urgently needed. Story 73. Simplicity. I'm holding onto my car until either it or I die because I don't want lane assist, backup cameras, infotainment systems, self-driving features, massage seats, or keyless start. There's nothing made in the past 10 years that's simply a car. I don't want anything more complex than a cat and power steering. Story 74. Food that tastes like food, particularly fresh produce. Public fruit trees that bear fruit. Insects and bees. Colorful cars and buildings. Hearing children playing outside, laughing, having fun, riding bikes and scooters, and throwing water balloons. Story 75. Cool Moon Citrus Soda. Years ago, my uncle's church had a drink machine in the patio area off the kitchen. Those were some of the coldest drinks on the planet. Whenever we had a family gathering, I always made sure to have change so my son and I could get a Cool Moon. They haven't been made in years. Story 76. Cool Corners Cuban sandwiches with hot peppers in Midtown Atlanta. I lived on them in college, and I would give a lot to have just one more. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.